Good day, Owls. Today we are going to take a closer look at your 20-book challenge. By the end of this lesson, you will know where to access the resources to complete the challenge, as well as the expectations. Let's begin. We're going to start by accessing the North Lincoln Middle School homepage. At the top, click Class Web Pages. Find Dimes to access my North Lincoln Middle School webpage. You will notice at the bottom of this page, there's a hyperlink to take you to our ELA page on Google Sites. I want you to bookmark this Google site as I will post all information on here and on Google Classroom. While I do want you to explore this website, for today's mini lesson, we're going to focus on student resources, projects, and then scroll down and click on the 20-book challenge. You'll notice on this page, there are 3 documents. The first one is your actual 20-book challenge. So I'm going to come up here in the right top corner and it'll create a pop-out. So the 20-book challenge, why can't I skip my 20 minutes of reading tonight? You have 3 different students here, student A, student B, student C. Student A, as you can see, reads 20 minutes each day. It accumulates to 3,600 minutes in a school year, which is equivalent to 1,800,000 words. This student, when they take their end of grade test, will typically land in the 90th percentile on their EOG compared to their peers. Let's look at student B. Student B reads 5 minutes each day. It equals 900 minutes in a school year, and it equates to 282,000 words. When this student takes the EOG at the end of the year, they'll rank 50th percentile on the standardized test, meaning 50% of their peers scored better than them and 50% of their peers scored worse than them. Let's look at student C. Student C reads 1 minute each day, 180 minutes in a whole school year. It equals approximately 8,000 words. When student C takes a standardized assessment at the end of the year, like an EOG, they will typically rank in the 10th percentile compared to their peers, meaning 90% of their peers scored better than them on a standardized test. By the end of 6th grade, student A will have read the equivalent of 60 whole school days. Student B will have read only 12 school days. Which student would you expect to have a better vocabulary? Which student would you expect to be more successful in school and in life? Your 20-book challenge starts on August 17th. So the first day of school being Monday, you can already start reading. Your goal, I'm going to make my screen a little bigger. Your goal, in order to accomplish 20 books in one school year, you need to be reading 5 books per quarter. Please discuss this goal setting with a parent before accepting this challenge letter. A test grade at the end of each quarter will be applied to your ELA grade upon the completion of 5 books. So if you read your 5 books for the full quarter, you get a 100% test grade. And it equates. So if you did 4 books, you would have an 80% as a test grade. 3 books in the first quarter, you would have a 60%, 2, 40%, 120%, and we're not even going to pretend there's a 0 books read in there. Books must be on grade level or above. Books must contain a minimum of 200 pages. Books containing 350 pages or more may count as 2 books. So when we come up here and we're looking at 5 books a quarter, understand that if you're reading these longer books, there's discounts on pages. So 350 pages can count towards 2 of your 5 books. Choices of your books must include at least 1 book from each category throughout the year. Classic, an award-winning book, biography or a memoir, a fantasy, Battle of the Books list. This can be found online or talking with Miss Hebner in the school library. A mystery, historical fiction, realistic fiction, poetry, nonfiction, science fiction, and a graphic novel. I do want you to discuss this challenge with your parents since this is a digital form. This is an expectation for the school year, but if either your parent or you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So, what happens when you finish a book? How are we going to document that? On our OWL ELA webpage under Student Resources, Projects, and then the 20-book challenge, we have um, two assignments over to the right-hand side. The top one is a tic-tac-toe 20-book challenge with 9 different assignments embedded, and we'll have a closer look in a moment. This is typically the paper you will be using for your fiction reading, where when you go to finish your nonfiction reading, you'll use this resource down below, the reading response for nonfiction, and we'll also take a closer look at that. So let's come up here at the tic-tac-toe board. We're going to pop that out. Each quarter, this tic-tac-toe board will change with different activities. There's a direction sheet at the top. Use the grid below to select your activity, and then submit it to me on Google Classroom. So as you read through these, number 1, create a timeline for the important events in your book, illustrate at least 3 events. When you do these different activities, please make sure you come back and reference it and that all of the components for the box are included in your project. Number 2, find a place in your book where a character makes an important choice. Write a paragraph, 5 to 8 sentences, about how the book would change if the character had made a different choice. Number 3, write a paragraph telling what the main character in your book might be doing in 10 years in the future. It also asks to illustrate your paragraph. So there's 2 pieces in there that need to be present in order for that activity to count. Write a sentence about your book starting with each letter of the alphabet. You should have 26 sentences when you are done. You may have to be creative with X. So typically owls write A through Z down the side of a piece of paper or on a Word document, and you create sentences regarding your book using each of the letters. For the X, I've seen people put an E in front of the X for like extra or extreme. Again, you'll have to be creative. Number 5, pick out 3 character traits the main character of your book possesses, such as honest, kind, cruel. Then write 2 examples from the text to show how the character displays each of these. So if you were using honest, kind, and cruel, I would expect 2 full examples of how your character was honest, then 2 examples of how your character was kind, and then 2 examples how your character was cruel. Make sure you read through that thoroughly and submit all parts of the response. Number 6, make a double bubble map to compare yourself to the main character in your book. Each entry must have an example. Include at least 12 entries. A double bubble map, if your elementary school didn't use thinking maps, is very similar to a Venn diagram. So if you picture it, you could be on the left-hand side, your character could be on the right, and then things you have in common would be in the middle. So there's typically 3 sections there. If I'm asking for 12 entries, you can make that 4 each. You could be a little bit flexible. There could be 5, 3, I'm already 5, 8, 12, 4. Sorry about that. You could be flexible, but there should be 12 different responses and not just one for each column. Make sure you're being thorough. Number 7, find 5 words in the book that you did not know. Use it in a dictionary or app. Write the best definition for the word as it is used in the context. Then use each word in a new sentence of your own. This one you're going to have to be a little careful with. As you can imagine, there's sometimes when you open up a dictionary or an app, there could be 4 different definitions for a word. So you really have to go back into the text and make sure the definition you are citing to me is the appropriate one for the way the author had used it. And then don't forget about writing a new sentence of your own using the vocabulary word below it. Make sure you're being thorough. Number 8, write a letter to the author of the book telling him or her how you felt about the book. Ask at least 3 questions about the book and the decisions that he or she made. Again, there's multiple parts to that response. Number 9, after reading an entire poetry book, use Texito, Wordle, or Google Word Cloud to create a visual of a poem. Select your favorite poem from the book and type it into the box. Use the options in the program to be creative. You can email it to me or take a picture of it. It says print, but we're not going to hand in any paper copies this semester. So you can take a screenshot and submit it that way. Now, down below, it's a reminder, 200 pages is one book, 350 pages is two books, and it keeps going in increments of 200. So 550 pages would give you three books. Depending how many books your book counts for is how many activities you will complete. So if your book was 201 pages, you only need to complete one activity. If you read a book that's 551 pages, you will need to complete three activities for your book in order to get three books worth of credit. Okay, so let's pop back out of here and look at the nonfiction. And the nonfiction response pops out so you can see it. You can create a Word document in the same format, or you could print this, handwrite it, take a picture of it, and submit it, whatever's easiest for you. So most nonfiction books are less than 200 pages. This one paper counts for one book towards your 20-book challenge. Most of the nonfiction books from our school library or the local public library will be significantly smaller, ranging between 45 to 80 pages each. If that's the case, you will need to read two nonfiction books to complete the top half with the first nonfiction book and the bottom half with the second nonfiction book. These two books do not have to be on the same topic. If you are reading a nonfiction book that does have the required 200 pages to count for its own book, you can absolutely fill out the whole sheet for the one book. So if I was reading something about pirates and it had 201 pages, I'm actually going to end up writing 6 things that happened in the book, 4 words or phrases that I found interesting, and then 2 things that I'm still wondering about. But if you're going to break it up into smaller books, again, the top half could be one book, the bottom half would be another. Since they are smaller, the whole sheet would only count for one. I'm going to pop back out over here and remind you where this page is. It's on your OWL ELA. Please make sure that you have bookmarked this page so you can have it as a reference.